Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate everybody showing up. Looks like we got 9 people on, so we'll just kill a few minutes and wait for folks to show up. What we wanted to talk a little bit about today was just any questions that you have on the bolt. There's some things that I wanted to talk to everybody about. Show a couple of locations on some of the Thunder websites on where you can find the information. Some of it's kind of hidden, and I want to make sure that you can find that information. So, what I thought I'd do before we get too carried away today, and again, if you guys would just comment for me, make sure everything's working okay. Looks like it's all okay on my end, but I'd sure like to hear from you. So, if you comment just to make sure it's working good and I can see your chat, that would be great. And we'll get started. Just a little bit of information. Hey, Belinda, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yep, perfect. Hey, just a couple of things I wanted to get started on just before we rule things out. Um, just a little background on kind of how long I've had it, the things I've created with it, those kind of things. Had the Bolt for probably about 3.5 months. I was one of the first ones in the United States to get it. A couple of Thunder Techs had it before I did. Got it, started working on it. Did a lot of things on far as tumblers. I knew that this was going to be my primary tumbler machine, and so I wanted to make sure I had some settings dialed in, and started working on the tumblers right away. Did tumblers, did just I'll show you some examples just until we get a few more folks on here. Here's some slate work. I noticed that doing pictures on slate is much easier than on the CO2 on my Nova 35. It's a lot like on the fiber. It's a lot easier to do pictures on slate. Of course, you guys already know that it does a fantastic job on leatherette. So realistically, my bolt is going to be a dedicated tumbler leatherette acrylic machine more than likely. But some of the other things that it does really well on is this is unisub. And look at how dark that engraving is. I haven't done anything with it other than engrave it. So it almost engraves black on the single-sided or double-sided unisub. It cuts the single-sided unisub fine. I do a lot of sublimation as well. And so that's one of the things that it works really well on. Some of the acrylics. I will tell you, and I apologize up front, I'm just getting over some bronchitis. So you might see me taking a drink or having a cough now and then. Apologize up front for that. On the acrylics, it does a great job on acrylics. If you have large areas of engraved areas, I am noticing some slight banding, and I know they've been working on that. But leather work, it does great on leather. So just about everything I've tried works really well. And so a couple of things I wanted to just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, I was just going to show this comment here. One of the things that I was really pleasantly surprised about was when you can engrave this. I mean, we all do, or at least I do a lot of Christmas ornaments this time of year. And I love to do the unisub because the surface is so easy to clean up. And so, I take the plastic coating on it and it just does an absolute fabulous job. So if you haven't tried unisub and you've got a bolt or you're getting a bolt, this is some nice stuff to do your ornaments out of because number one, it's nice and shiny and it cleans up beautifully. It cuts well, it engraves well. And I think it does a little better job than it does on my Nova 35, just from a color perspective. So yeah, that's doing the unisub stuff is pretty nice. And so Does anybody have any specific questions? If not, I'm going to jump into a couple of places on Thunder's website that I want to make sure everybody knows about. It's not a very well published area, and a lot of people have troubles finding it. And it's kind of where you can find a lot of good information. So if nobody has any questions right off the bat, I will share my screen and we'll jump into one of their two websites or website areas that they have. And then we can kind of go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right quick. Bear with me. This is new software to me. So we are going to start with the Thunder Laser Resources website. And what I will tell you is, so this is resources.thunderlaserusa.com. Write that down because this is the place that a lot of people don't know how to get to. And so it's resources.thunderlaserusa.com. And this is where you can buy your extra lenses. This is where you can look for videos for training. So I was just going to show you this. So if I come into shop now, this is going to be where you'll buy your extra lenses if you need spare parts for either your Nova machines or your Bolt. This is where you can order your glass tubes, your power supplies, your extra lenses. They've got 9 pages of this stuff for all the extra goodies that you might need over the course of owning your laser. This is fairly new, but I love it. And one of the things that you'll see when you're seeing a lot of these prices is that they're not, they're pretty competitive. And so between the catalog and the products that you can buy here, here's the other thing that a lot of people don't know about is the Thunder Academy. So if I go to Thunder Academy under this same website, um, you can select which laser series you have. So let's go into the Thunderbolt since that's what we're talking about today. And it'll give you all these kind of quick start videos that Thunder did, unboxing, power up, installing Lightburn, your first project, um, auto and manual focus, camera setup, rotary setup. So they're all within this Academy section. And here's one thing that a lot of people don't know about the Bolt. It does have a pass-through up front. And so I use it quite a bit for when I have a 12 by 24 piece of acrylic and it's too big to put in my bed on the Bolt. I just turn it sideways and drop that front cover. You can bypass the safety measures real easy. It's one little button that you push on the side. And then the way they designed the Bolt is you can have your material sticking out the front. And so that way you don't have to worry about cutting those 12 by 24 pieces of acrylic. You can use some of that acrylic up and you're good to go. So uh, yeah, so just know that a lot of people don't realize that there is a front pass through when it comes to the Bolt. Touchscreen calibration. So there's just a lot of good information in here. And so I just wanted to point out to everybody that if you go to resources.thunderlaserusa.com, this is going to kind of give you a section that you may or may not know about. And it's just another place to know where to go. So that can be helpful. That can be where where you'd want to go to get that. So let's see, we've got some questions here. Let's take a look here. Let me go back. We're just reading the comments here, guys, so bear with me. So let's talk a little bit about this one here. Do you feel that the bed size is a big limitation between the Bolt and the Nova? And I would assume you mean maybe between the Bolt and the Nova 24, because that would be the next one up. And when you're thinking about buying the Bolt, you really shouldn't be thinking that I'm planning on creating a lot of large projects. It's somewhat of a, excuse me, it's somewhat of a situation where you know that you're going to be fairly limited into bed space. And the primary focus for buying the Bolt would be for smaller projects. As far as just overall build quality between the Bolt and the Nova series, in all honesty, I think they're very close. The fit and finish on the Bolt seems to be really good. It's easy to clean. All the finishes are nice and smooth, so you don't have to, struggle much with what's going on. Everything is smaller. The only thing that you will notice when you get the Bolt, if you have a Nova series machine, is the head configuration is completely different. And changing lenses is really simple. Matter of fact, I'll show you. I've got a couple of lenses here. This is what a lens looks like, and it's glued in, so it's you don't have to worry about it falling out on the floor. But this is basically what the lens looks like on the Bolt. And so there's two bolts that go on the front of this right here, and you just take those out and you slide this out, and then you slide another one in. It takes you literally 30 seconds to change a lens. And I've got a nice little lens holder that I bought on Etsy that holds the lenses. And this is just magnetic mount on the machine. Matter of fact, I'm giving one of those away along with the Bolt on Wednesday. I hope all you guys are going to be there and you put in for it. But um, there's a big difference between the Bolt lens configuration, where the Nova series machines, they have the air directed down right into the cut, and the Bolt, the air is directed kind of at a 45-degree angle. And so there is a little bit of difference there. And so I really don't think it would be, specifically the 3580. That's a big jump between the Bolt size wise and the 3580. I consider those to be in two completely different categories. If you're thinking about a 3580, but kind of considering the Bolt, in a lot of ways, you may be disappointed. Number one, because of the wattage difference between the two. The Thunderbolt is a lot like a 60-watt glass tube machine, kind of like the 2460. They're very comparable as far as horsepower and things that you can do about them. So certainly would be, I would be happy to talk to you offline if you want to kind of get further in depth on that. But there's really no comparison from what you can do between those two machines. Let's take a look here. So let's take a look at this one. How well does it cut quarter-inch plywood, hoping it can, without charring or burning only? Well, I've got a piece right here. This is one of the first things that I did on my Bolt. Now, this is, when you talk quarter-inch, it's really like 0.21 is what this is. So it's not quite quarter-inch, but you can see kind of the quality of the engraving, and then there's no charring. I haven't cleaned this in any way. um, Usually if you're getting charring on the edge, it typically means you're going too slow. You need to speed up a little bit. Just keep your power the same and increase your speed just slightly. And so the key for the Bolt in cutting anything thicker than 1/8 inch, like quarter-inch this, you got to be sure you're buying quality plywood. If you're buying Home Depot or big box store stuff, depending on the type of glue they're using, you could struggle. I found some glue the other day in some quarter-inch material that I bought from a quality wood store. I couldn't even cut it with my 35 100 watt. So There is 1/4 inch out there that you're not going to be able to cut with the bolt. And so buy quality ply and you'll be okay. Now, is it fast? No. These are probably, we're probably cutting this at single digit at 8 or 9 millimeters per second. So it's not a speed demon, but it does a good job cutting 1/4 inch as long as you stay with quality products. So keep that in mind. Same thing on the acrylic. I've cut plenty of 1/4 inch acrylic with this. Again, it's not quick. It's in the single digits, 8 or 9 millimeters per second there, but it provides a beautiful finish on the acrylic. Let's see here. So let's take a look at this one. This is a real good one. So what are the limitations with the 1.5-inch lens comes with the bolt that you've seen? So um, what I will tell you is the bolt with the 1.5-inch lens, that 1.5-inch lens has a much smaller beam spot than, let's say, your 2-inch lens on your Nova series machine. It's just a smaller engraving tool, and that's why it does such a fantastic job engraving. So that 1.5-inch lens is designed for engraving in general. But there's a caveat to that. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you were going to do some tumblers and you were going to do maybe some 40-ounce dupes or something like that that's got a lot of elevation change. That's where that 1.5-inch lens is not going to work. If you're planning on doing tumblers that have contour, you definitely want to order the 4-inch lens when you order your bolt, because if you have the 4-inch lens, and it looks kind of goofy. When I first got this lens, I looked at it and went, wow. So what actually happens is the lens is before it hits mirror 3 before it goes down, but that's what it looks like. So the 4-inch lens on the bolt is actually in front of mirror 3, which when I got that, I was like, wow. But I will tell you, if you're doing 40-ounce tumblers uh, that have any kind of elevation change, get the 4-inch lens, and it does an absolute beautiful job. And the reason being, if you have a 4-inch lens, it gives you a lot more focus in focus area than the 1.5-inch does. So I would say if you're doing an engraving and you're cutting 1/8-inch material, you can do that all day long with your 1.5-inch lens. If you're doing engraving on contour, you're going to want to go to the 4-inch lens. And I've got the 2-inch lens as well, but I just don't see a ton of difference between that 1.5 inch and that, or excuse me, the 1.5-inch and the 2-inch lens. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Yeah, I would imagine I'll probably, if I can get it downloaded, I'll probably upload it to my YouTube channel. I would think so. We'll see how that works. So, and this is a great question here. I get this a lot, so we might as well take a few minutes to deal with it. What do you consider quality ply, or where would you get it from? And so, what I will tell you is, everybody is struggling to provide quality plywood, no matter who it is. I mean, I've purchased wood from this one wood supplier for 25 years, and he can't get true Russian Baltic birch right now. That's the 5 foot by 5 foot Baltic birch. It's just not available. And so people are buying kind of what they can get a hold of, not necessarily what they normally carry. And what I will tell you is, if you're shopping for plywood, when you're looking for plywood, I saw this the other day. So this is a piece of 1/4 inch. And if you're looking at the layers in between, you want to make sure you see no black layers. If you see a black glue line in the wood that you're just about ready to purchase for your laser, stay away from it, because that black glue is like kryptonite to a laser. Like I said, I've seen 1/4 inch material where you can't cut it with a 100-watt laser. So a lot of folks are struggling because they're thinking that their settings aren't right, when in fact it's just the material that they've purchased instead of having laser friendly. So what I would do is, there's several people online that are selling a better quality Baltic birch, and that's where I would go. Cabinet shops, if you can find a good local cabinet shop, a lot of times they'll be buying that quality Baltic birch. It's just a little bit harder to get a hold of right now. So, talk to somebody that's buying it from someplace and ask them where they're getting it, and go from there. So, that's a good question. So, can you upgrade the air compressor to a better quality cuts and engrave? And I think that's the only thing I would say about the Bolt. It works fantastic the way it is. I think it could work better if you had a delivery system that redirected the air more directly into the cut. And Thunder may be working on that. Um, but that's really at this point the only thing I can say that could be improved. Um, when it comes to air delivery. I think eventually you'll probably see like a dual air assist setup, kind of like what you do with the Nova series, but they had to make some hard decisions to keep the price competitive. And so that's kind of where we're at. But I would be willing to bet you're going to find some upgrades going on there. Let's see. So let's take a look at this one here. Is a fan in the right place, so close to the machine exhaust, or should it be moved towards the end of the tube run for better extraction? Well, it just depends. I will tell you, it sits right underneath the middle of the back of the machine, and I've only got about a 4 to 5 foot run, and I haven't had any problems whatsoever as far as the fan not working to eliminate the smoke. I will tell you, if you've got a much further run that you're going to have to vent it, you may have to relocate that fan, or put in an additional one. We do know that the closer you get the fan to the exit, the better, because you're creating a vacuum on your hose instead of a pressure. So if you've got any leaks, it doesn't pressurize it. So I think the tricky part about that is I'm not sure that that's easily done. That's good to know. Woodworker Source had a comment here. Woodworker Source has been a pretty good, um, so that's good. Having options is always a good thing, right? Okay, when you switch from the 1.5 inch, let's take a look here. When you switch from the 1.5 inch lens to the 4 inch lens, autofocus still work? Yes. So the autofocus distance does not change whether you're using the 1.5 inch lens or the 4 inch lens. That autofocus system is exactly the same. And what they did, and you can see the difference between the 2 inch and the 4 inch. So on the two, this is my 2 inch lens, and you can see where it is in the housing compared to the 4 inch lens. So what they did is they just moved the lens up closer to the source. So that's what they did. Instead of moving the lens further down, they moved the lens up and towards the laser source, which is pretty genius because that way your autofocus never changes. And so, yes, so whether you're using the one, the two, the four, it doesn't matter. Whatever lens you're using, the autofocus process is exactly the same. Great question. Hey, Pat, I appreciate the comment. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a I tell you what, LBX was an absolute blast. Thank you. So the other thing that we'll do, I don't have any more questions. Any more questions? One of the things that I will tell you that the far as the rotary work is concerned, I've got both the Roto Boss and the Pyburn grip. Both of them, if you're looking for the Pyburn grip, you'll wanna get one of the trays that I provide. They both work great. Right now, that seems to be the primary focus is tumblers. A lot of people are getting the bolt for tumbler work. And I will tell you, if you want more information on that, I'm not going to turn this into a commercial for that, but um, those are available. I did talk to Grant on Friday just to see kind of where they were at with orders in case somebody's thinking very closely about when they want to, if they want to pull the trigger on something like this. And he said they're still about 45 to 60 days out. So it'd be the end of December, first part of January is when they would deliver a machine if you would order one now. So anyway, well, you know what? Steph, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If we don't have any more questions, we'll kind of let you guys get back to your weekend. I sure appreciate everybody stopping by. And if you have a chance, hopefully you've all put in for the drawing that I'm going to do on Wednesday evening. And if we don't have, let's see, how often should we be cleaned? So that's a good one. So let's take a look at this one. How often should a honeycomb be cleaned? It's having trouble cutting the last couple of days, cleaning trays. So here's kind of my philosophy on that. The dirtier it gets, the harder it is to clean. So typically what I like to do, and here's the other thing, I've got a fairly small shop and I can tell when my honeycomb's dirty because I walk in here and it hits me in the face and away you go, right? So it's one of those deals where I try to clean it about every 2 weeks. Now on the bolt, because I've been doing more engraving than I have cutting, I haven't cleaned it yet. But usually if you're doing a lot of cutting, I just take either Harbor Freight degreaser or LA Awesome, get a long bristled brush and use it straight, don't dilute it, and pounce it on those. If you've got a great big setup, like if you've got a Nova 51 or a 35, I've seen a lot of people make a tray where they just make a tray and put a tarp in it and fill that stuff and let it soak for a few minutes and then wash it off. That works well. But I will tell you, as the most part, the longer you let it go, the harder it is to clean. And again, pretty soon that's where a lot of your smell is coming from is your honeycomb, not necessarily a leaking hose or your product. So as often as you can, I realize we're getting into winter now, and sometimes it's too darn cold to do that. So you're just going to have to wait. All right. Well, great. Hey, I sure appreciate it. I hope this was beneficial to everybody, and we've got some questions answered. I just wanted to kind of get it out there and answer anybody questions. If for some reason there's other things that we haven't talked about this evening and you need a little bit more information, you can always reach out to me on social media. I'd be happy to help you out. And I think with that, we're going to call it a night. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll hope to see you on Wednesday. Good luck, everybody.